session for our last meeting. Announcement of the next board meeting will be at 7:20, January 26th, in Middle School Community Room, with a special meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the administrative office. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mr. Torrey? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Patelski?
Yes.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Okay, we're officially out of our executive meeting and coming to a board meeting. This meeting of the Board of Education in public is for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There's time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda item remarks to the public. Have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Torrey? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Patelski?
Here.
Dr. Vogt?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second. Okay. I wanted to amend this. We can put this in item. We can put this in new business. We can put it as A, 11. Membership for Kiwanis. We can discuss that at that point. So we want to have Kiwanis membership. Would you like a new recommendation for new recommendation?
Yeah, I'd like to put Diane back on personnel.
Okay, for superintendent notes for personnel and department. Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, roll call.
Dr. Vogt?
Yeah.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Torrey? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Patelski?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 12, 2015 special, January 12, 2015 tax budget hearing and organizational, January 14, 2015 special, and January 15, 2015 regular, and January 21st, 2015 special.
So moved.
Second? Just so everyone in the audience knows, those special meetings are because we're hiring superintendents and they're interviewing processes. Creating for just special meetings that do interview. Okay. Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Vogt?
Yeah.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mr. Torrey? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Patelski?
Yes.
Okay, we had a sign-up sheet for remarks of the public. We didn't have anybody sign up. Is there anybody that would like to make any comments or? Okay, superintendent's report.
Mr. President, this time I would like to recognize some of our winners here. I think I'll start with the 2015 district spelling bee.
Okay.
He's here.
Is he?
You made it?
You made it? Congratulations,
Good.
Max. Okay. Sure. Let me read just real quickly. Actually, I'll read real quickly what our press release looks like, and then Max, I'd like you to step up if you will, okay? Our district will be proud of our spelling bee and geography bee participants, and we congratulate them on their skill and knowledge of words and locations, on their tenacity and drive to take part in these competitions. Tonight we recognize our district spelling bee champion and our geography bee first place winners. Congratulations are extended to District Spelling Bee winner 2015, Max Koch. Max? Max, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Wait, smile.
You got a smile. As sick as you are.
Good press, good press.
Congratulations.
Just see the smiling face.
I think my voice is kind of,
This is also Matt's second year in the district.
Yes.
Max's second year. Congratulations, Max. Very well done. Well, also our Geography B winners, Chris Moore. Chris, congratulations, first place. Nicole. Okay, you're gonna have to help me with Nicole's last name.
Raditz.
Raditz, thank you. Nicole, please.
Not on the call.
And I don't know this kid. Oh, Tori?
Oh, funny.
Okay, congratulations. That's impressive, so it's good to see that out here. At this point, I'd like to move on to item C, which is school board recognition. January's School Board Recognition Month in the state of Ohio. And I just want to share a few thoughts. You know, the Ohio School Board Association is celebrating School Board Recognition Month in January 2015. It builds awareness and understanding of the vital function as an elected Board of Education plays in our society. School Board Recognition Month honors the members of Ohio and more than 700 city, exempted villages, and local joint vocational boards of education and their service and governing boards and their commitment to provide quality education to our children. And as I always say, it's good for kids, and that's what all of you are here for. The West Geauga School Districts join with other districts throughout the state to recognize the important contributions school board members make to their communities. Even though we're making a special effort during January to show appreciation to our school board members, we recognize the contributions reflect a year-round commitment on their part. They're dedicated individuals who are committed to continuing the success of our school and our students. So this time it's with great pleasure that we show appreciation this evening to Dr. Tom Phelps, Mr. Dan Thorson, Mrs. Jackie DeTore, Mr. Ben Katowski, and Mr. Michael Douglas. Please join me in thanking you. I've worked with a lot of school board members over the years, and I have been a superintendent for a long time, and it is a tough job to be a school board member. So, you know, when I say that, I don't say it lightly. I've experienced a lot of board members, and it is a pleasure to work with all of you. You don't make millions off this job, but you do it for good reason and good cause. So, you know what? And you're going to get a snack tonight. You're right, and that's well worth it. So, before we do that, I have some certificates I'd like to hand out to you. I've got a gift, you know, on behalf of West Geauga and our staff, and I would like at that point, we would like to get a group photo and maybe break for intermission and some snacks. So, pass these out with gifts, and then we'll want to do photo first before we break.
At this time, we'd like to adjourn just slightly so that everybody can enjoy this. And thank you so much for everybody that showed up, and great job in West Geauga. Thank you so very much. So if you guys would like to enjoy what we've, our small little banquet table here, please do so. Okay. D, other reports.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. This time I'd like to introduce our high school principal, Mr. Bishop. I think you were going first.
There is?
Wasn't that long ago.
Good evening, everybody. This evening I'm presenting the program of studies for the high school. This past year, in fact June of this past year, saw a whole lot of changes take place in terms of high school graduation requirements. And not just that, but also we have what's called college credit plus, which must be enrollment. But with this law actually is requiring us to take a look at what we're doing and to make some changes within the high school, so that we follow, so we're sure that we follow the law. And we feel that our teachers are ready. Our teachers have been preparing for this. We've known this is coming. And even our kids are ready. So beginning this, actually in a month, March 2nd, we're going to start to take the end of course exams, which is part of the new graduation requirements. As soon as Jim gets it up here, we'll proceed with a presentation that I have about the graduation requirements. It's coming.
Plain black.
Caboosey boyhood instead of listening to
Jay, I'd rather listen to you.
I'm going with BJ. We're just
how many checks?
It's up here. Just read off of this and I'll.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, I'm going to scroll.
You're scrolling through. Okay.
Just tell me what.
Well, as I talked about, House Bill 487 established new requirements, again, passed in June of 2014. The new graduation requirements are for our freshmen, our current freshmen, which is the class of 2018. There are a few changes that will, actually I should say one change, the class of 2019 is going to have to follow. But what stays the same with this new law? We are still going to be required to teach the same, or I should say the students are going to still be required to graduate the same number of credits. They can go above and beyond this. However, this is the minimum. These are the credits that West Geauga High School requires, 21 credits, in order to graduate. So they've taken these 21 credits, and then they've added some things on top. So on top, we have what's new. And you would probably, actually, I know we have, had more meetings, heard of PART, next generation assessments, and this is a requirement that the state has asked all the students to complete. They're end of course exams. There's two parts of an end of course exam. Right? They're calling it a PBA, performance-based assessment, and then they have an end of year assessment. So two different times in the year. So West Geauga High School, for example, is going to start the very first part of the PBA in March. And so we're going to have the students in the 9th grade year are going to have to take Algebra 1, Geometry, or Integrated Math in 1 and 2. We do have a few classes. English 1, which is our high school's equivalent to English 9, our 9th grade English. English 10, Physical Science. This year is going to be Physical Science. Next year, actually what they've done is they've decided to get rid of Physical Science, and then they're putting in its place biology. So what happened this past year is we had a whole bunch of teachers, administrators voicing their concerns over this House bill, and which led to biology taking Physical Science's place at the end of course exam. Also in American history and American government are going to be required courses. Now something to note also that if a student is taking an AP course, they don't have to take this. They will end up taking the AP exam at the end of the course. In addition to that, there's a plus sign here. So we have to have our graduation requirements. We have to have the end of course exams, and now we also have to be able to pass on those end of course exams. We have to have passing scores. So students actually have to get 18 total points in order to graduate by taking this route. So when they say 18 total points, I have a little more detail about that later. But for example, they have to get 4 points when they take their end of course exam. In English, 4 points in math, and then they have to have a total of 6 points in their science and social studies. We have also another option. They can earn remediation-free score. So in lieu of doing this, they could take a college exam, and then, for example, the ACT or SAT, and score a certain number on it in order to not have to take, have to pass with those points, the 18 points that they're asking for. And then there is one other that is actually still being developed, and they're still talking about this and working out the details in Columbus. It is an approved industry-recognized credential. So I'm thinking this is a vocational route. So they're going a vocational route. They're earning a certificate in air conditioning, heating and cooling systems, and they're getting an actual certificate when they leave the high school setting. So those are the options that were presented here. As I talked about, we have 2 different exams at the end of the year that we're going to have to take. We're going to have to give to the kids. One is the PBA, Performance-Based Assessment, which is going to be given at 75% of the way through the course. The next one is going to be an end-of-year assessment. And we don't have those dates just set yet. We're still waiting on some more of the details. But that test actually will be given in April and May. And then if we go back up where it says Part 1, the performance-based, West Geauga High School is going to begin that particular test on March 2nd. And we will test approximately through March 20th. So we have about a 3-week time period that we're going to be able to fit all of those subject areas into. And then actually particular subject areas do have particular dates that they have to get the assessments in. And these are all, as I stated here, scored by an educator, and then the end of the year is actually scored by a computer. And then it is a combination of the end of year, the PBA and end of year that actually give you the points for that particular course that's required. Okay. Very confusing, however, let me explain it this way. We have graduation points for every test that is given, end of course test that is given, very similar to how APs are graded and evaluated. Students are given a score of 1 to 5. So we're going to get scores back that say the student might have had a 2 in English, and again, in their 10th grade year, let's say that was English 9, 10th grade year, they would also have to get at least a 2 in order to accumulate enough points in English so that they can move on. And then as I stated, we have a total of 18 points that have to be from all of those tests that have to be accumulated. It shows you here, in addition to the cumulative 18 points, certain points are required in each content area. So as I stated previously, we have to have 4 points in English, 4 points in math, and at least 4 points in science and social studies. Here's an example of a student. We have the students, what they could possibly get as they take those points to show that they would reach at least 18 points. In this particular situation, we have a student who has scored and reached 19. So you can see English 9th grade, they might not have done very well on the test. However, they can recover, and then they can get additional points their 10th grade year in the English 2 portion of the assessment, which would give them enough points in that subject area in order to graduate. Again, there's a lot to it. This is something that we have been preparing our students for. We've been doing a lot of curriculum work over the last couple of years in order to make sure that our students and our staff are preparing the students so that they can be successful with these assessments. And I know that we're eager to find out, because this is something that we've all talked about for quite a long time now. And we're ready to give these assessments and see how the kids do. All right, to move on now from the graduation requirements, there are some other things that are associated. As I talked about College Credit Plus. College Credit Plus replaces, sorry, that's all the presentation for, you could turn that on, Jim. Yeah, do it.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
There's no more slides.
No more slides. College Credit Plus replaces, if you're familiar with PSEO, PSEO has been around a long time, and it is being replaced now with College Credit Plus. College Credit Plus requires high schools, by law, requires high schools to provide a route in order for students to get college credit while they're in high school. And we are required to provide a 15-hour route as well as a 30-hour route in order for the students to get the credit. We have partnered with Lakewood Community College. It is primarily where most of our students that have attended PSEO go to take the courses, and we have it spelled out in the new program of studies exactly which courses the students would take in order to reach the 15 and 30-hour requirements. Students would get dual credit. They get high school credit and college credit while taking these courses. Some additions in your packets also include programming. Our computer programming class will now be considered a math class, and they'll be getting college credit. I'm sorry, not college credit, math credit for that. Previously they were not. We are offering a freshman mentor. We're putting in place a freshman mentoring course. We already have a freshman mentoring program at the high school to acclimate the freshmen to the high school, and it is taught by upperclassmen. And it's been a very successful program. We are now talking about offering high school credit for it so that we can get elected for those students that are spending a lot of time with our freshmen. And looking forward to that as well. We also have some building schedule changes that we're looking at that will accommodate that and provide more time in order for that to happen. New calculators at the high school. There are two particular classes that we're talking about new calculator requirements for. Algebra 1 as well as geometry. So we're going back to the requirements for graduation. There's a TI-84 or TI-85 that's going to be required of our 9th graders in order to, actually, and it probably will go down to the middle school as well, because this is the calculator that's going to be required for that particular test. So we want the students to be able to have that tool in hand when they're going, and familiar with that tool when they're going to take that test. And then as we work through our courses then, our subsequent courses would then require that same calculator. But for this year, we're just going to ask that the 9th graders have that calculator. We have a name change, physical science, for to align with the test from our college prep science class. 9th grade science is being changed to a physical science course. It's just a name change. We're still aligned with the curriculum that is taught for physical science. We have been. It's just a name change, so that there's no confusion between what test has to be taken and the actual course. And then one thing that's last but not least, I'd like to talk about. We are offering. We'd like to offer 2 new AP courses at the high school, and those 2 new AP courses, we're moving up from 14 to 16 AP courses that are being offered. And next year we would like to offer AP Environmental Science as well as AP World History. And we've had conversations with the staff and the requirements that are needed in order to make that happen. And I know Nancy's done a lot of research into that, and we're ready to move on and make those offerings for our kids.
I was reviewing the AP offerings list that you had given to us. Help me understand. You have current enrollment. It goes, 11, 12, 12, 13, all the way up to 14, 15. Okay. Am I missing where the proposal is? Which classes will be? Are we omitting any classes, or are we just adding 2?
We're just adding 2.
Because I'm having a hard time understanding why we have an AP Computer Science course when there's only 1 student enrolled in it, as well as AP Studio Art, 1 student enrolled.
Well, the focus is going to be increasing that enrollment. We have the offering, and it's there for kids to take. In addition, for example, those courses are also offered, those students are taking a course, for example, in addition to, the teacher might also offer, be teaching a, am I saying this correctly? An Art 3 course.
So it's not a classroom with one kid.
Correct. So there's still,
So is
the
that the
AP
same thing with
curriculum
some
is
of
being
these other
presented.
ones as well? Would that be consistent, like with AP Chem, there's 5 kids in that? It's not just a classroom of 5 kids?
That particular class is a classroom of 5 kids. In the AP Chem, due to the nature of the course.
And let me interject here. I mean, we made a conscious decision at the time, without adding staff. You know, we were okay to maybe not have a capacity of AP. You know, I say it had 22
Right.
seats of capacity. It was an AP course. You know, in our administrative meetings or CAM meetings, we had a conscious decision. It was okay to have maybe 12 or lower. Just, you know, some of the classes we're looking at is if there's no great rigor or if the classes themselves aren't something that is a direction that's good for kids and we move out with all these assessments and whatnot. If it's a class that really they're not getting a whole lot out of and we're not near capacity, we may look to realign some of those and we are. But, and those aren't your AP courses. Those are sort
Well,
of
and I
your
don't doubt that AP Chem is not needed for particular, but what I'm saying is, would it be better utilized with a different AP course where we may get 15 or 20 kids and be able to reach more, a broader audience?
Yeah, and I'm going to keep talking here for a minute, Jay. Pardon me. But yeah, I do think, you know, after sitting with all of them in our meeting, I don't disagree with you, but I also think we can do a better job of promoting what we offer. And from a recruitment standpoint, and telling these students, here's what we have to offer for you. You know, I look at course descriptions, I don't know exactly what that means. Part of it is an advertisement or marketing. The other part is, you know, these are some good courses, they're not utilized. We need to get kids in this, you know, kids in this classroom. You know. And we're going to continue to move forward, but we don't want to reduce AP courses, and we don't want to look at realigning what we're offering and making good choices with what we have. So that's sort of
The other thing that I would say is that, and we've heard repeatedly, at any rate, we have heard quite frequently that a lot of superintendents have added several AP courses without raising the cost of anything else, meaning licensure. You know, obviously, I'm sure this AP thing, I'm not trying to lighten what you guys have worked on for weeks or months, et cetera. However, I'm seeing the cost attached to it. Not that I deny that it's not great for kids, but with every single other option looked at in terms of cost savings or utilizing licensure that we already have to create AP courses as opposed to adding dollar figures.
Sure, it's a great question, Jackie. The cost embedded, so for this year one of the 2 additional AP offerings, there is no additional cost in terms of staffing, in terms of licensure. So that's a great question, and one that as you would look to future advancement or more offerings would be more concerning. It would certainly contemplate that. For year one, it doesn't for us. The cost that is attached, and it's a part of the packet, I believe, is professional development. Whenever you add an AP course offering, there are components that have to be done for the AP board to accept it and to offer it with the AP label and then to offer the testing for our students. So the costs that you are seeing embedded in these 2 particular pieces of the puzzle are for that professional development. So it's not necessarily for teacher licensure. It is for them to write to get the course written, to get the course turned into the AP board, to really provide themselves with a network of teachers. So as they have questions along the way for a first-year AP teacher, you definitely want to have a network of people that teach the same course, which we don't in isolation here. So that's part of what the cost is. There is a small technology cost that Sean and I are working on with AP Environmental, and that's a little separate piece, but really it's the PD.
Okay, because that's what I was nervous at, is I see the dollar figure and I go, well, on a 5-year forecast, that's times 5, you know, and each year it's going to, but it was
It's a
not.
singleton cost.
I gotcha.
Yes.
Training.
Yep.
Get the teacher familiar with that, particularly if we're bringing a teacher that has never taught this, which is the case. We want to make sure that they're up to speed and have materials ready so that they can prepare the kids to get through them.
And also, I think you need to take a hard look at what has happened in the past and our practices and our, our delivery modules as we have done in the past. I think as we move forward and look into the future, delivery models change, the way we deliver services change. There's things that you can eliminate or that aren't being utilized, get rid of, that we have kept just because we've always had it. And there's a safe cost there, which then you can apply to the new.
Now, are there more on your want list that, I'm saying two, and not that two is great, but is there a bucket list of?
Well, there's a list of
Right.
it's above. I guess I would say this, we really worked hard to look at pathways. Jay is humble in his contribution, I would say, because, and honestly, there are other people in the room, we'll leave them nameless, that we would have to thank. That will be a big part of it as well, but certainly, staffing and meetings and conversations that you have with staffing are very, very important as you move forward. But one of the things that we looked for a very long time to is this idea of a pathway. So, you're looking for a cohort of students to take a pathway of AP offerings. So you really want to be careful that when you're adding AP offerings, you're not detracting or taking away numbers from a different area of AP. So that there's a distinctive pathway that really starts 6th grade, 7th grade, in some cases, all the way to 12th grade, so that you're feeding a pathway and another AP entry point for students. When we went about looking at this, we really were looking at how do you make it so it's course offerings that more kids can access AP rigor, and that's really kind of what started us off on the pathway. That, and of course, your interest in us looking at AP pathways certainly was a piece of our puzzle. And I think that in this way, not only is it 2 singleton course offerings, but it really makes pathways of AP available to students, because we are looking at it at what they'll take in 9th grade and 10th grade, 11th grade and 12th grade. So what AP Science can help feed those AP Chem numbers so that we're building AP numbers throughout. It's not just singleton offerings.
So that goes with what I wanted to ask. We've only got 6 math and science courses out of all of these courses. And so is the way then to build that by starting with courses that we can get AP courses that kids can take in, say, 10th or 11th grade, and then in 12th grade they're ready for the next level and we add that course? Is that
I think
future plan for building on this?
Sure. There's so many. First of all, but I told people I'm not talking tonight, so I'm talking loud.
I want that
But they're all like, right. I think that you look at a lot of things. That, absolutely. We looked at student interest. That chart that you have to really pull apart where can we fill seats too. You want to make it also.
But that's right
able
along
to
with
work
what you're,
in.
that's right along with what you're saying, though, is creating a pathway, because if we can't fill seats in the STEM classes, it means there's something that's not happening earlier.
Well, might I recommend that this be something we do as a workshop, because
Sure.
we had talked about that.
Yeah,
And
that's a good idea.
I can't thank the 2 of you enough. You know that this has been one of my passions. You know that this is something I really look for. As we interview superintendents, we have one that has 25 AP offerings in high school. We have 16 right now. We have 14. We just added 2. And so often I've heard the magic number is 16. So we're there. A few years back we had 9 or 10. We've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go. And I think if as you look at 1 or 2 students, certainly we want more students in there. But I can't thank you enough for how hard you worked at this and doing this. This was something that I was really passionate about, and you guys really did a great job. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. And I think we can do that as a workshop, so that we can understand how we can better as a board, and with our superintendent, feed those studies so that we're successful in the school. But getting more rigor for our school is about what we should be about at WestGBrd, and I'm glad to see you guys have taken this. Thank you very much.
And we're also very grateful to our staff too, that are first grade, so I want them to, Mike Seston is here, he would be one of our new AP teachers, and we're very grateful for their willingness to take that step, because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, especially, we put this out to them now. They're going to, large part of the summer, we can soon with getting up to speed and being prepared.
Be a great staff. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks.
Great presentation.
One real quick question. Are the College Credit Plus kids now, is that going to be a weighted rate?
You know, there's actually, quite honestly, the final information on College Credit Plus isn't due to us until mid-February. We're hearing things, you know, we're talking to Lakeland, we're talking to different colleges. And, you know, and in fact, Megan Petrosky and I were just having a conversation tonight about some of the latest things that we had heard about College Credit Plus. And, you know, initially what I had heard was that we had to weight the dual credit courses as the highest credit that we offer to our school as part of the law. However, it is looking, I mean, a conversation with Megan brought to the point, she said, I heard there was a change to that. And one of those changes might be, for example, that if it's a course that we offer AP to at the high school level, and they are taking it at the college level, as she explained it to me, then they would get that. But if it's a course that we don't offer, then they wouldn't get that. They wouldn't get that extra weighted course. So, you know, quite honestly, we have the language in here that will get us ready for next year when College Credit Plus comes out. However, again, the details aren't all there yet, and as they come out, we'll provide that to you.
I'm sorry, we don't generally do this, but I know you had a question back there.
It's not so much a question, but something to keep in mind with AP, having had a kid that's taken all this, and Jay knows that. Does WestG require the kids to take the AP test if you take an AP course?
No, we currently don't do that.
Okay.
Although we're going to have, and I recommend that you come, we're going to have a presentation of which I think that is questions that we have as a board. How can we promote that?
And well, my other comment is some school systems pay for their kids, for the course, the test fees, because it gets expensive. If you
Did you
have a
see
kid.
Kat over there just sort of showed her when you
I'm
said
just saying, I know, but if you want to encourage kids to take more of these AP courses, that's a big financial
I
burden.
do appreciate your comment. It is certainly something the board has looked at, and yet there are school districts that do require it. We don't. But going forward, it may be something that we can look to incentivize and.
Nancy and I have had a lot of conversations about this, about the best way to approach this particular situation, and we recognize that we would like all of our students that are taking these courses to take that test. But I think it'd be advantageous to all of them to take it. And again, it's working out some of the details to make that happen.
And I think we can put together a presentation for you. I think the agreement among the administrators is that you're going to take the course, it would be nice to take the test. I mean, it makes it somewhat worthwhile. And as far as the changing, you know, I listen to what Jay's saying, and I reiterate, we were at an administrative meeting on a Wednesday, and when the House bill was submitted on a Tuesday. You know, so we're trying. Sometimes we're chasing moving targets here, so things move pretty quickly. But thank you.
Nice presentation. Nice job, guys. Thank you very much.
Nice job. Thanks, Mr. Russo. Come on up. I've asked Jim to share a little bit about our phone systems and a little bit about three-tier busing, just an overview. We talked a little bit about changing in schedules, and we wanted to get more of that with times and whatnot. But the busing and our phones are becoming somewhat of an issue.
You know, Jim, your last presentation of the $600,000 phone system, this phone still.
This is
one was it able?
Yeah, this is.
Three-tier busing, this is a treat tonight.
So we're looking at other options as well.
Check your speed. You blew that. Thanks, Jim.
What would you like?
Okay, I'm back again to talk a little bit about the point, because I'm very concerned with our anachronistic phone system. I got a call about 2 weeks ago from Larry Bailey informing me at the end of that first paragraph that he was successful in going back to Cisco, who is the equipment provider on the state term contract, and significantly reducing the amount of the cost of the equipment. As you notice, that brought the cost down to almost $368,000. Now, the frightening comment that came out from the last presentation was the $610,000 figure. And that's, I think, what alarmed a lot of folks. But keep in mind that $610,000 figure also included not just equipment, but it was 5 years of maintenance on top of that. The $367,932 figure represents all of the equipment, the same equipment that I talked about in the previous presentation, as well as the first year's maintenance. That would also be thrown in. So beyond that, the next 4 years down the road, what I would recommend is that we put aside dollars in our technology budget to allow for maintenance costs for succeeding years. So the upfront cost for this would be about $368,000. I've also detailed for you in the middle half of this paperwork that I gave you, I'm showing you where we are with the PI dollars, what we've done thus far with roofing, what we spent thus far with roofing, completing all of Westwood, completing all of Lindsay, completing approximately 85 to 90% of the middle school. So what we have remaining are 3 roof sections here at the middle school, as well as about 100,000 square feet of roofing at the high school. I'm guessing, based on previous bids, et cetera, we may be in the neighborhood of $1.5 million to, let's say, $2 million in roofing to complete all of the roofing projects that we have. In addition to that, I've detailed for you the other items, that other $888,000 worth of commitments that we made when we did the levy campaign. Those are the items detailed right there that we said we would do in addition to the roofing. As I mentioned here, we have already completed some of these. The generators at the schools will be purchasing 2 of those buses this summer. We've done some district-wide repairs and renovations. We've done significant security and surveillance upgrades also. So some of these items are already taken care of. So what that means is that to date we spent approximately $2.1 million to complete roofing. In addition, we have completed some of the above-mentioned projects. If you do the math, this means that we'll carry over for this upcoming summer's roofing project approximately $1.2 million. That's the carryover. But we also collect $1.7 million per year for the next 3 years. So this coming summer, we will have approximately $2.9 million in our budget to do the roofing that I'm estimating will cost us about $2 million, $1.5 million to $2 million. So we will have some significant additional dollars that we have available to us to move forward with VoIP, and that in no way jeopardizes any projects that we've committed to. And then keep in mind, beyond that, we have 2 more years of collections at $1.7 billion per year. I'm again recommending that we use some of these dollars to move forward with VoIP. Now, as Mr. Nutter mentioned, I am also looking at other options. I believe this is probably our best option. However, I have not just stuck with this particular option, this bid item through state term contract. I'm attending a meeting on Wednesday with BCS. It's a company that also provides phone systems, et cetera, looking into what they have to say. I talked to LGCA to some degree about hosting, although I am not in favor of that particular process. There are some significant issues with that. So again, I am looking at other options, but I believe that it's in our best interest to move forward with this. And I will be coming back again sometime with a final recommendation to do so.
Jim, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I think we need to move quickly on a phone system before the phone system we currently have doesn't work.
Absolutely.
With that said, is there an alternative to the phone system that we currently have in that Does it have to be voice over IP? Can it be a regular phone system that,
I don't think so. I don't think you want to go that route. It's old technology to go with, quote, per se, phone system. The other thing to keep in mind about VoIP, the other thing that it enhances, these sets, these telephone, for lack of a voice over internet protocol pieces of equipment, they also serve as mini computers. In other words, I could plug my computer into that desktop and work off of that, not using the Wi-Fi system that we have in our buildings. So it also enhances our ability to utilize computers. That's also very significant.
Why is that? Why is that? Because if we already have wireless and we already have the capability, why the duplicate? What do we get out of this?
Well, what you get at, as I said, what it does is it enhances your ability to communicate. Remember, with Wi-Fi, the issue is, are we going to have sufficient support for all the testing that has to be done with all the...
Will this have a massive bandwidth? What's the...
Yes, it does, because it works off of switches like a regular computer network does. So yes, it has the ability to enhance our computer network.
And we could, say we're testing and we need a ton of bandwidth, would we be able to use both our wireless and the VoIP system at the same time to...
Absolutely, absolutely, because the VoIP is connected, it's cabled, whereas the Wi-Fi is in hub.
okay, so you gotta help me. So you can use your computer that you have at your desk.
Yes.
So how would that help in testing?
What it does is it opens up a lot of that bandwidth from your Wi-Fi.
That you would be using at
That
your...
you,
Okay.
that's correct. That you would be using at your computers at the
So
desktop.
teachers could still be using their, whatever they're planning, or their email and stuff, and not be utilizing any of the Wi-Fi, so all of the students could be utilizing it for testing.
That's correct. What it does is it simply enhances. It's just another benefit of that equipment.
But
It's
your
not the
computers
major
that you're
selling
using
point.
today...
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, because I'm trying to get, and I apologize, I'm trying to get my head around this. The computers you're using today are Wi-Fi, or they're not plugged into
No, our desktops are.
Are Wi-Fi.
No, they're
hardware.
currently hardware.
So you're not using any bandwidth currently?
It depends. If there's teachers who are bringing, for example, their own laptop, using Jim's example, they could then plug into the VoIP system so that they're not pulled in from the Wi-Fi. So it's another option as far as to free up bandwidth. Your example before is exactly spot on, exactly what it would do. So anyone who's within that range could then plug that device into that. Just give another option.
Right.
Could
Simply
you
an
then
enhancement.
plug in Chromebooks, or could you then plug in the are we using any of the laptops for testing?
It would have to have an Ethernet port. So the teachers who bring their own laptops would certainly be able to do that. Chromebooks and iPads don't have Ethernet ports with them.
But we can buy those little
You can buy the USB ones.
USB ports.
Correct.
You can buy those little wireless connectors, right? So could we, into the VoIP system, then plug, a modem and a wireless modem and
I wouldn't do it for that purpose, because what we don't want is we don't want to have students sharing off of that. His example of it being more one-to-one for a device, taking a teacher device off of there would be a great way to do it. When you start splitting connections like that, you lose the benefit of the connection. But his specific example, being able to take the same device and plug it into that phone would be, it would be a benefit because you're not taking those off for a while.
And again, that's not the significant reason for buying it, it's just an enhancement.
Jim, the maintenance contract is pretty extensive.
Yes.
And what is there that's being maintained that, because like if I, bought a residential phone, right, I'd expect that to last indefinitely until I got sick of it and threw it away.
Every bit of the equipment is what's being maintained. And it's being maintained in real time on their computer network. So they would know of any issues that we have even before we do.
Yeah, see, I guess that's what I mean. what is it that makes this level of maintenance necessary? Because in, your typical home system, you really don't tend to have very much maintenance for years and years, whether it's phone or whether it's your wireless system that you have at home.
Well, but you're always going to have some type of maintenance, even with, for example, the Wi-Fi. We had to purchase additional software for the Wi-Fi, I think like $25,000 in order to do that. So regardless of what type of system you have, you're always going to have some type of maintenance, whether you're doing it in-house or with one.
Is it just the scale of it?
It's just the scale.
Hundreds of components.
Exactly. And we're talking 377 bills, I think.
What do they pretend the light, the way it's predicted that the light means it's a new system?
Yes, they're estimating approximately 10 years. Yep.
With the technology in the future.
Yes, and the equipment, the switches, et cetera, because that software is not too. So yeah, they're figuring 10 years. So again, it's just like anything else, just like the turf. I mean, it's in our best interest to make sure that we're putting aside dollars, because down the road, you're gonna have to replace it. So you have to do that.
Thanks for it. Food for thought. We saw this in the paper, whatever, a month ago or whatever it was, and boy, did I get phone calls like, how dare we even consider X amount of dollars. Even though I clearly read the article and I could see that it said it was from an existing PI levy and there was no additional dollars, this wasn't coming out of general budget. The perception, they didn't read that, they couldn't even see that part, they were like this, $610,000. If this is something that the board moves forward with, can we be the creator of the content of what we advertise in the paper, as opposed to somebody else interviewing you and putting in what they want it to say? Can we create a piece for the newspaper in our own words?
Sure.
Because I think it's being missed. They're not seeing that they've already given us the money for this, and this is not hurting a 5-year forecast. This is not hurting dollars that were intended for classrooms. This.
Now, when you say putting a piece in the paper, I'm not sure.
PR.
Some type of
Oh,
PR
sure.
that's in our own words and not in somebody else's.
Now, you talked about that a number of times up front here about, does the board send out this, does the superintendent do that? Of course, you're certainly welcome to do that. However, I would certainly like to be somewhat involved in that to make sure that we're not saying things that aren't.
Well, and if we don't put it out, then we allow somebody else to put in information that may or may not be accurate.
With the time of your decision, you had the press release, right? Is there a lease option? Because that's what I heard about from a lot of people in the community. They said that this technology changes or buy anything that we buy is already outdated.
The lease option is, again, financing. And we could certainly do that because the rates are so low. I actually threw those figures out the last time in our meetings. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that if you have the dollars available. Why pay even $6,000 a year for interest? I mean, that's where I am with that. And again, I think I've done a pretty clear picture in what I've given you in terms of where those dollars would come from, where we are, and the fact that
My fear is that we'll wait too late on a decision, and I'm not, I have to tell you, Jim, I'm still not past the threshold in my own mind, thinking this is a great solution. Although I trust that you've done your due diligence, that's not what I'm saying. But I think we need to make a move sooner rather than later because we're living in a borrowed time year system. So I really encourage us to get all the information we can. And Jackie, to your point, I almost wonder if we can't open a meeting that goes out to the community where we make a presentation about this. It had a lot of PR. I'd gone to a meeting where it was implied that this board was just recklessly spending that kind of money, not having any idea as to why we're doing that, as opposed to having a professional whose job it is to evaluate that stuff. That was the impression left to the community. So I'm all for how we get that information out. Again, adding a certain level of, like, better terms of transparency. But our due diligence. I go back to, I just wonder, I mean, I know it's an antiquated system, but is there an alternative where we're utilizing what we have today with a better system? But again, you know. I see
Well,
what
they say
you're
I'm
saying.
attending another meeting on Wednesday, and I'm still going out there and making sure that I'm covering all the bases, so I'll have additional information.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, Dan, like the stripped down economy car with
Well,
manual
no,
transmission,
not
or what do you
necessarily
think
that.
for the phones?
Well, today, we don't have the ability of, what we have today, if I understand with our administrative staff, if I just look at that piece, they work in different departments, yet we can't forward phone calls to where they're at. Okay? But systems are available without VoIP to be able to do that. There are phone systems that would make that available to us, and it could be at a cost considerably less than where we're at with this, just in that particular example. But if you look at our phone system today as a mainframe, that's updated. That whole mainframe system is completely outdated, and we need a new phone system. But do we need a new phone system with new technology? I just am not seeing, I'm not seeing with the district. Again, we have money. We have to be responsible for that money, and so I'm just having a hard time going there. And I err on the side of going all heads in. I think you know that. I'm just having a hard time with this particular piece of technology, making that commitment. So you still have to help me, Jim. Get me there.
I'm willing to continue for that.
And maybe you don't know this, I'm gonna ask both of you if you do, I don't mean to look to Sean. You gave us a wonderful presentation about making our old computers new again. Do you think that out there in the world of technology, there's something that can make our old phones, or are these just way too gone, obsolete at this point?
Not,
You were saying we could get parts.
not, there's not like a VDI for phones, which is what you're referring to. It doesn't work that way. So no, there isn't an option like that.
Like the Atari.
Yeah.
But you see, when I get concerned about this, we had 377. Could that be 150 in certain district? Could it be 200 in certain district? Is that a phone in every spot that we don't necessarily, you know what I'm saying? Are there different ways to change that cost?
Are you saying, could we pare down the existing system that we have?
Well, the new system that we buy. Would we save
And
any,
subs.
in other words? Because is it the kind of thing where you buy it with 300 phones and it costs $10,000, say, more than having 200 phones? I mean, is that
Well,
how
sure,
it is?
I mean, the equipment is, a lot of that price is the cost of the equipment, certainly. But the VoIP phones themselves cost in the neighborhood of $120 a piece. So
That's a minor part of the cost.
it really is. It really is the switches, all the equipment, the cabling, it's all of that that constitutes the bulk of the cost. It's not the phones themselves.
And I've asked Jim, to leave no stone unturned, we're gonna try to give you all kinds of different options and scenarios quickly. I mean, we can't even call into the front desk for else we actually need to turn it on. We can't say, push this to go to the superintendent, push this to go to the treasurer.
Right.
I mean, it's like, so.
No, we appreciate that you're looking along here. We do appreciate all the effort. A decision has to be made. You can't wait. I understand.
The other thing that Mr. Leonard wanted me to briefly discuss is we're looking at, and there's a lot of work to be done here because we still are not sure yet. We're talking about grade level building.
Well, I just want to address the 3-tier on the fact that schedules, times, you know, we talk about master schedules.
Right.
You know,
And those are the things we're still talking about in terms of times, because Jay has asked for some changes in times, the end of the day times, et cetera. Keep in mind that currently what we do, the system we currently have is our middle school and high school kids all go on the same buses. So we go to the middle, we drop off at the high school, we drop off at the middle school in the morning. Those buses then go on their way to pick up Westwood, Liz, and kids. 4 of them go to St. Anselm and pick up St. Anselm kids. Now, what could happen in basically a 3-tier system is we would very well possibly have students that are going to the high school and middle school. Again, it depends on the times, and we will have to tweak times. You're gonna have to tweak those start and end times because of the times between the runs. So we have the ability of, let's say, allocating X number of buses to one of the elementaries, and then X number of buses to another of the elementary. So that can be done. We have the ability to do that. We have the existing number of buses, we have the existing number of drivers that we can do that. What will have to be done is we'll have to come up with the exact times that we're talking about and tweak those times. So some of the starting and end times would have to change somewhat. Not huge, but it would have to change somewhat. The other
20
thing,
minutes, half hour?
yes, could be a half hour. Could be up to a half hour.
What do we use, trapeze?
Yes, that's our song.
I'm gonna have two quick things for you. What you just touched base with was three-tier busing and the fact that high school time had to change. We were interested at one point as three-tiered is what if we eventually went to these grade level buildings? So now you're not talking three-tiered because if the high school wants different times, now you're looking at four-tiered possibly.
Well, I think, and we've talked to Mr. Kish, I think we can still manage middle school and high school on that same run. I'm pretty sure we can still do that. The other two, that we can work out. But you still have to have time, you know, about an hour in the morning, and again in the afternoon, about a half hour between those end times, so that you have the ability to run those buses to pick up and or drop off kids. But we certainly have the wherewithal to do that. But we will end up tweaking the times. The other thing I would caution against, and there has been, and I know I've read the research about starting times for high school kids, etc. I don't think you want to have young children waiting for buses in the dark. There's no way, I in no way could recommend something like that. In other words, picking up your, let's say, K2 or 3-5 kids, picking them up at 6:30 in the morning.
Well, and I pass a little girl that gets picked up at 7:10 for elementary every morning.
And even that's dark.
I have one more back on the, you were showing us the costs of where some of these PI dollars were allocated for. And I saw the lighting and sound upgrades to the middle school. Now, I know we've done some of those, but all of that isn't complete yet, correct? Will any of those dollars, because you know what's near and dear to my heart is that stage. And I am sick to my stomach. The last show that I did, I was up on a ladder stapling curtains because they're falling apart. I was so embarrassed for this district looking at them.
Well, as soon as we get some dollars into the permanent improvement funds, I have the wherewithal to do some of these things. But we have dollars budgeted. However, it's the influx of the revenue from the county. That's the problem. I'm holding a number of projects that I need to have done. Another one is, for example, my intention to do cafeteria renovation at the high school. But again, we're just waiting for some dollars.
Could you talk about that briefly, what you proposed there at the cafeteria?
Well, I would even be interested in hearing where, like the phones made your priority one list, and that was what you came to us first. I would love to see a list of things that you, even if it's a wants and a needs type of thing, of what everybody's brainstorming, because we all walk into buildings.
It's my intention to do that. Actually, it's my intention to spread it out over. Remember, we also have the 1 mil as well as the 2.75 mil. So it's my intention to do those things. I just have not honestly had the time to do that yet, but it's my intention to run those things. I could tell you oodles of things, rooftop units, door entries that need to be replaced. There are just a host of those things that I can project out. The renovation of the cafeteria at the high school, what we want to do is basically open up that serving line, open up that space, actually replace some ceiling, replace the ceilings in there, replace lighting. It'll just be a much more inviting.
Merchandise there.
Absolutely. We'll be able to marquee some of that stuff, have menus listed, et cetera. So yeah, that's the plan. I actually told Jay I want to meet with him tomorrow to show him what I'm looking at as well as seeing it. So
Yeah, I would suggest we come with a general list of capital improvements, and sharing that with everybody, and sort of prioritize that.
that's my intention.
That's going to be part of our budget process, because we're going to have to anticipate what's in the technology and other capital improvements. So that should be our part.
Yeah, that would drive it.
And that would, year one, year two.
But you guys have the ability to prioritize at that point too, with knowing the budget. That'd be mine.
Well, that was a good segue. We have to know what's in the technology.
So good too. Yes. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Hey, Sean.
At this point, I'd like to introduce Sean. He's going to come up and talk a little bit about technology and our website, correct? All right. Have that.
One of the things when I started my position that we started taking a look at was communication. I know it's been talked about a lot here at board meetings, how we communicate with the community, how we communicate internally. I took a look at our website, and I wanted to see what we're currently paying for our website, what it looks like on the admin side, for when our teachers and staff access it, and if there was a way to save us money while giving us better services. Through talking to Mr. Nutter and talking to many local school districts that are using a company called eSchoolView, we found a company that can refresh our website and give us a more modern look. And the reason why we want that, our current website, if you've gone to it on a phone, and you go straight to our website, you'll see a gray box shows up. Because when our website was created, nothing wrong, in those days, we didn't have tablets, we didn't have phones, we weren't at that point. Our website now, our current company could do this, or eSchoolView could do it, needs to be on a different template that is mobile friendly. The way websites work now, if you go to some of the other school districts, take a look at like a Chagrin Falls, for example, the Rocky River. If you go to their website on a tablet or on your phone, you'll see what happens is the site dynamically scales to the size of your device. And then when it gets down to a mobile phone, it actually looks like a mobile app. That's the way sites behave now. The advantage of going with eSchoolView was they have a wonderful admin panel. I brought in a team of staff members from all 4 buildings and also from central office who've worked regularly with our website to take a look at what is working really well, what we're happy with, so we don't lose any of that, but also what we can do to improve how we're posting information to you. Everything from video content, instead of having to go to YouTube and places like that to be able to host it on our site. eSchoolView has an ease of posting new content. It will save us money. We would pay initially a $4,800 fee to have them rework our website. But what will happen is we will start saving $3,000 a year by switching to them. Because of the fact that they cost less per year, we're currently paying $5,000 a year for a school point. We would now be paying $3,900 a year through eSchoolView for the same services. We currently have a district branded app because of the way that our website behaves. We no longer need that because our site would behave like an app. And eSchoolView offers a free app option for parents who prefer that, where they can download eSchoolView's app and subscribe to our website, and they would get an app just like they like. So what would happen would be, it would offer our district the opportunity to save $3,000 a year. In 2 years, we would pay, basically it would pay for itself, what we would do to refresh it, and we would start saving $1,100. And then it would be $3,000 a year that we'd be saving after that. There's really, it's a no-brainer on our end. We really have to do this. It'll give us a nice refresh. Our site will look modern. It will also, they have guaranteed they will bring over all of our teachers' content, so any teachers who are currently using SchoolPoint, their website will be transferred over. They are prorating us right now, and what they're going to do is basically from now till the end of the year, we aren't paying for hosting because of the fact that we currently have a SchoolPoint site, so it won't cost us anything more on that end. So we can build our site in the background while still maintaining our current site. So when it's ready to go live, that's when we will put it up. We don't have to rush and put it up and have things not working, links broken. We really want to make sure when this goes live that it is a good communication tool, not frustrating to use. We're also using this as a way to improve our organization on the website. The reason why I wanted to pull in a team is when we've got the prototype, which will basically just be the shell, what it's going to look like as a district, our branding. It'll be the same color scheme that we usually have, but we just want to freshen up and modernize it a little bit. We will then start taking a look at some of the buttons that are available there and how to better organize them so that way it's familiar to parents and staff members that have been currently using it, but at the same time cleans up some of the clutter. So it's easier to find the things that you're looking to in a quicker fashion. So it's a time to refresh and also save us some money and improve our services. So we're not just saving money and taking away, we're actually improving what the engine looks like in the background. Our current engine is very, it works well, but it's very tedious to post things. This is drag and drop. It's, they update their admin engine every 90 days. They guarantee that with new features that come from basically the users. So it was really nice because with this time that I've had since August, and Mr. Nutter's recommendation and recommendations from other school districts, there was an opportunity to really take a good long look at, is this the right option for us? What would be the benefits to our district? How are districts that are using it feeling about the services? And I encourage you to take a look at some of the websites that I mentioned, Chagrin Falls, Rocky River, see how they behave on different devices. You can actually see some of the advantages. But we get to actually make a WestG site, and we're going to take a look at what we like about a lot of the ones around us and make something that's very WestG for that. Besides eSchool View, one of the things I wanted to update you on. At the beginning of the year, I presented to the board my vision for a 3-year plan. And one of the things that really we needed to start taking a look at was our 5th graders and how do we build them towards middle school and high school. This was a big talk by principals and 5th grade teachers as far as what is the appropriate device to do that. We took a long look at costs to our district, costs for iPads, costs for Chromebooks, costs for Microsoft devices. And it's not just the cost of the device. One of the things that when it becomes one-to-one to students that we have to think about is management. How are we rolling out apps to these devices? How are we, if there's a problem with the software, how are we handling that? If you try to image a computer, for example, right now it's on a teacher's desk, that takes about 30 to 45 minutes. And what imaging is it's basically setting the software back to a default state without losing any of the content that's on there. It's a very lengthy process. Teachers actually who are in here have had to go through that process before, know it just takes a long time for that to get back. We don't want that happening with our student devices because that takes those devices away from instruction. So when I was exploring a lot of the devices, I got some demo models into the hands of teachers to explore pros and cons of each device because there's always trade-offs. There isn't a perfect device. One of the advantages I have, I like Apple, I like Google, I like Microsoft. I don't work for those companies, I work here. So I'm not really beholden to one of them. I took a look at the iPads. The one disadvantage the iPad doesn't have a built-in keyboard. And as we're building middle school and high school, we're talking a lot more about keyboarding skills and typing longer papers and starting to work on formatting skills. And when you've got a plug-in keyboard on a device that sometimes works, sometimes does not because of the way that it plugs in, it makes it very hard for teachers to instruct typing skills. And there's been a lot more talk from our teachers in PLC meetings about how do we build in typing skills, how do we build that towards middle school and high school. All of our students now at 3rd, 4th, and 5th have Google accounts on some levels. They're just Drive accounts on 3rd grade, but 4th and 5th grade now are starting to use internal email. They aren't able to exit outside of the district, but they can email their teachers. The reason why teachers requested this was for things like Google Classroom, to be able to start sending assignments to their students and messages directly to their students. They're only internal, but it's a great way to build towards, they're going to be the same accounts actually that will be in the middle school. So when you get 5th graders coming to 6th grade next year, they will actually already know how to get into their accounts. Through research, looking through all the different kinds of devices, and for things like the Capitol Conference, meeting with people from Microsoft, I met a company called Acer. And one of the advantages of Acer was Acer makes both Chromebooks and they make Windows devices. So they aren't stuck in either one. So they were able to weigh out for me what are the advantages of buying a Windows machine right now for our students, and what are the advantages of buying a Chromebook right now for our students. Plus, it was also, we've always bought the Samsung Chromebook. I like the Samsung Chromebook, but one of the things that teachers have been saying is they often feel flimsy, the connectors don't feel strong enough. Acer's Chromebook is a lot more of a durable build, and you save money on it. We're actually saving about $20 a device on the Acer Chromebook. It's the same internal parts, but we actually got a more durable machine. So we decided on getting Acer Chromebooks for both 5th grades and rolling them out for testing. So that's one of the goals this year, is to have them available to our staff to start using them this year, not just for instruction, but we'll have them time for testing as well.
So when does that purchase happen? When do they get here? And when are they in the hands of the kids? 'Cause that's another passion, like AP classes. When do those devices sit in the hands of the 5th grade?
We have actually already.
The requisition was for Tuesday. Sign it.
And then how long do you think it takes to ship? I want this in 2 weeks.
I was actually just communicating this week, they said, is actually with what the parent was pointing out, they would be able to have them to us by, I believe, it's 46. On our end, there's a little bit of time as far as setting up the carts, because the carts come pre-assembled, but the power adapters that go into them need to be strung into the carts, but that'll take a few days.
Few days. So you're telling me by mid-February, if all goes well, they'll be in the hands of 5th graders. That's exciting. That's very good news. Okay, cool. Next presentation.
Do the 5th graders then overlap with 2 tools this year, or do they automatically lose ideas?
I would not yank the iPads right now because they've been working with them instructionally. The idea right now would be to build towards next year with that and to build a plan. But that would be, they've already got the instructional program that they have in place, so I wouldn't be a fan of that. We would look towards next year.
Well, Sean, do you find the kids are pretty flexible between operating systems and devices?
I wouldn't, exactly touching on what you were saying right now, I wouldn't yank that from them now. Kids are a lot more adaptable than we are because they like to play with them. So my personal preference with something like this would be, I would like to start off fresh next year.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Exactly.
The transition from 4th to 5th then would be when they make a clear break, or how would that happen instructionally?
Those are discussions that I'd like to have with the teachers of that building, the principals of that building, and really come up with a transition piece for that. That's something we need to build towards. So I don't have an answer on that, and I wouldn't want to make that decision in isolation. Whenever it comes to instruction, I want to talk to the teachers of 4th grade, teachers of 5th grade, the principals, and make sure that we build in a transition point that makes sense for them.
It seems like the biggest transition would be maybe the teachers.
And that's why I don't want to do this now. I would like them to be able to have a plan going into summer on what next year's going to look like. That's why I wouldn't yank away their iPads now. They're already instructionally using them right now. That would be something to look at next year. What is the best way to do that? Where do the principals see them going in their buildings? That's something we need to have a larger discussion about as well. So that would be something we put in support pieces to make that, do the teachers want to meet before the end of the year to start talking about what the Chromebooks look like in their classroom? There's a lot of things on the table with that we would put in support-wise that would be based on their needs and also their comfort level with the devices. The Chromebooks, the nice thing about them is from a management standpoint for a teacher, there's very little they have to do. We can handle the management side on the administrative end very easily. If there's a problem with the Chromebook, we can put in a trouble ticket, we can reset it to factory default on the software. It is a new device, though, for any teacher who hasn't been using it. They've been using an iPad before. So it's really taking a look at what are you currently doing instruction with an iPad now? How do we put those things in place on a Chromebook so you feel like you're getting the same instruction as before? And hopefully it'll do some good things if you let it do like this.
Sean, this meeting is a lot longer than I wanted it to go, but I appreciate your presentation. It was very concise and very accurate. Do you envision at some point, we talked about these calculators. If I recall, when I bought the calculator for my kids, it's about $110, $120. These Chromebooks are $170, $180 per se. Do we envision at some point we're buying Chromebooks or putting that part of the student fee and they're carrying that through their high school career?
that could be something we do. There's a lot of districts that have looked at that. We would have to take a look at that. Actually, Mr. Bishop and I have talked about that previously, about taking a look at what that looks like.
I mean, if it's a few more dollars than a calculator that they already have to have for that class, and can that unit be used just like the calculator? or-
You know, we've looked at some apps that are the same as that TI 84 and 85.
Thank you.
And that particular app actually is pretty expensive. And if I recall, I don't know, I can't recall if I just know that the cost was almost the same as ordering a device. There wasn't much, because well, they don't want to lose that business, so therefore they're creating the format for it to go on an app. Therefore, college admission tests, a lot of these schools are still using it, and they're requiring their children, or those students, to actually buy that piece to keep the business going on.
I saw somewhere in the policy as well, though, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, something with the testing, you're not allowed to have the computer or the iPad where you are allowed to use that specific calculator. Is that correct?
The idea would be for them to become familiar with the tools that are in that calculator, so that way, that calculator, there's a software version of it that's available on the test that they can use. But to answer the question about would we replace that on the software end, the only question I have with that would be another one where we talk to the teachers and how they're using it in the classroom. Because I've seen many times where teachers are using a certain device in their classroom with their Chromebook or with their iPad. I want to make sure that we aren't taking away some form of functionality by doing that. There may be a reason by having a graphic calculator just as a dedicated device.
Well, I don't want to go too far down the tangent because we're talking about one class.
Right.
I can see in the sciences this could be used. I can see if you're typing your paper that you're sending to your teacher. I mean, currently you're not a college freshman without some sort of computer, laptop device. And as we're preparing our kids with AP classes, getting them ready for that phase of their life, it's just a natural tool that.
And they would leave us then with that device because they purchased it, so that would be great for them to have first computer for college. There's one quick thing I want to mention real quick. I mentioned back in the fall too, when I was talking about BDI, that the advantage of BDI would be that when we get donations and things like that, it could just come right into our ecosystem. Joseph Robo, who's a Westwood municipal parent and a Progressive employee, reached out to us last year with an opportunity to basically get some donations. We're very fortunate to have a number of parents and community members as well who work for Progressive that were a part of this. We got a donation from Progressive of 50 laptops and 35 desktops. They're refurbished machines from Progressive, but from a lot of our Windows XP machines that we have, they're serving as a Band-Aid right now because we have certain machines that are failing. And these computers, as we have been rolling them out, we're putting them into the areas of greatest need where people's computers are failing right now. Most of the machines that we got, they're Windows 7 machines. And we were thinking that they were half Windows 7 Pro and half Windows 7 Home. We're actually finding that more of them are Windows 7 Pro than we thought. The reason why we want Pro is when students log in or teachers log in to our network, you have to have the Pro version in order to see our network servers, to be able to print to our printers. Having Pro on there means we don't have to upgrade it to Pro. Any of the machines that came that are home, we can upgrade to Pro as needed. That would be a cost of $60 in order to do that. We're waiting until we've gone through every single one of them to make sure we have an actual list of how many of them. Even so, at $60 a machine, it's well worth it to have them in there as a nice Band-Aid right now as we look forward to what our technology decisions are going to be planning on. They're really nice machines, and we're actually rolling some out to the high school, the middle school, and both elementaries.
For the record, Joe and his brother Jill, and his sister Jill, are both West Geauga alumni. So he's doing this not just because he's a parent, because he's intimately has a lifelong tie to the school district that he believes in.
Yeah, and his son as well. So, yeah,
Chuck, could you help us as a board have that contact information? I think as a board we need to send something to them to show our appreciation, so that it's not.
Actually, can you go back one slide? Besides Mr. Roble, actually,
Certainly Progressive too.
That's huge.
Progressive actually wanted us to thank their information technology accessibility equipment as well. It was really nice, the donation that we got from them. It's quite substantial, and those machines are going to go great use.
And from what I understand is this can be an ongoing opportunity, correct?
I think we can reapply every year. That was something that Mr. Whelan and our current exchanging emails on to double check. But he was kind enough to apply last year for us, so we are going to keep looking at these opportunities for future for us. Yeah, but it really was a nice opportunity and saved us quite a bit of money to be able to do this right now.
Thanks, Sean. Guys, as we move forward, I mean, part of our time spent in that conference room with all the administrators is strategically planning how to purchase, where we want to go. So we're just going to buy equipment and have a rationale. So, thank you. Yeah, that concludes my reports for the evening. I was going to have 5 more, but I'm going to skip through.
Superintendent's recommendations, do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations? So moved. Do I have a second? Mr. Mallard.
First one is personnel. We have the sheet that's there, plus the addition, the addendum. One of our goals was to reorganize. Part of the issue that we had in the central office was over the years of attrition and people doing different jobs. We had several people doing different job classifications in different arenas, so they may have 1 or 2 or 3 supervisors reporting to. We are trying to streamline all of that as we move forward. So that is, you see some of the restructuring going on. There was a hire last board meeting that's doing that, and then also as we move forward, and then with the personnel that's there now. The trip to Orlando, Florida is just, that's an overnight trip that needs board approval. Transportation contracts are, in lieu of, and then the acceptance of the program in the high school studies, course studies.
I have a question. If you don't know, I see Mr. Brave sitting over there. I read the entire thing because, I'm a Disney junkie, and I know that this is routine. What is the cost of that trip per student?
Currently, the cost is set at $890 per student, but the Band Boosters is trying to. We've had some sizable donations to the Band Boosters, and we've done some fundraising over the past few years, where Band Boosters is trying to take that cost down by $100 to $200 per student by donating money towards the overall trip cost.
So each individual student will pay about $700 or $800.
That's the goal. Yeah.
That's the goal. And then later on, if we could talk, because I see an error in it.
Okay. Sure.
Any more discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Wong? Yes. Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mrs. LaToya?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes. Okay, Treasurer Russo.
I don't miss
See your packet for
I
the
just don't.
report. We'll start off with the action items. We currently have less than